We have a bit of a red picture all round today. Even a weak rand isn't helping the JSE today, which it did yesterday when it lifted those gold counters.
Yes, absolutely. I think we're just following what happened in the United States as well as Asia this morning. We saw everything is red. A lot of profit taking also happening. We saw that in the United States, manufacturing data there was very discouraging. And as much as, yes, the economy is still expanding, but it's happening in a much slower pace than what people would have anticipated. So we're seeing a reaction all around the world based on that information. Also, we see that September, after the September quarter close, we're seeing a lot of profit taking and sell-offs of stocks that were used for window dressing during that period. So, definitely a very down market today.
Well, just looking at that ISM data out of the United States last night, and it was weaker than expected, but it was also slightly weaker than August's data. So it looks like the recovery may be losing a bit of momentum here, and it seems as investors are really focusing on the negative rather than the positive at this stage.
Yes, I think, the market has been looking for some sell-off, for any reason to sell off on or to do some profit taking and, taking it a little bit easier. So I think that we are looking at that, and what's important today is the US job numbers that will be coming out later on, especially the non-farm payrolls and then unemployment rate. We're anticipating it to go up to 9.8, the unemployment rate from 9.7, and non-farm payrolls to be at about between 180 and 175,000 job losses, so from 216 the last time. So just market looking for anything to pull back on and to reevaluate their stance.
And of course, even when these figures do meet expectations, that the market still seems to punish them. So they really have to beat those expectations to the positive for the market to react positively, isn't that right?
Absolutely, Stephen.
I mean, just taking a look at the rand, we had the rand weakening quite substantially yesterday. We had the Reserve Bank saying it had been buying dollars, and of course that rand did help our gold counters yesterday. Still weaker today, and do you think it's on a weakening trend from here?
I think, as Alicia said earlier, the rand is now at the mercy of risk appetite in the global markets, and we saw that the SARB was buying dollars in order to perhaps help weaken the rand a little bit, because it does affect South Africa's global competitiveness as well as the pace that we will recover in the global recovery. So we do anticipate that the rand will stay about these levels as the speculators from the MTN Barty deal have now left the market, and until something new happens or some new data comes into the market, that's these are the kind of levels that we'll be seeing going forward.
Well, just looking at MTN, we had that share price up 5.6% yesterday. It's higher again today. It was up 1.6% a little bit earlier this morning. And it seems that investors really have welcomed the end of those talks, and MTN benefiting from that.
Yes, I was looking at my technicals earlier on MTN, and we are actually at pre-merger talks and pre-crash levels, which is like 131. Where we are right now. At the end of 2007, December, we are sitting also at about 128, 130. So I think the market taking it back to the levels that it was before, where they feel is fairly valued. But MTN is a phenomenal growth story, especially in Africa, and we do anticipate that there will be at a future date maybe another target for a takeover or some kind of merger. So we saw the first one that happened with Reliance early 2008, and then the subsequent two Barty deals that happened. So we do anticipate that going forward there will be some kind of corporate action happening there, and so definitely still a stock to watch. 12-month target level is about 138 rands.
Of course, you mentioned the Reliant deal, which was at the beginning of last year. There's been 2 attempts to merge with Barty, and of course we had the crash at the end of last year. So do you think now at these levels, at 131 rand for MTN, is starting to reflect the fundamentals of the company without any corporate action in the picture?
Yes, I do believe so, because we are at, as I said earlier, pre-merger, pre-crash levels, and we do believe that MTN still represents lots of growth in the African space as well as Middle East, and we do think that they will be expanding and growing their business, and their subscriptions. So I do believe that the market is fairly valuing it.
Of course, MTN isn't the only gainer today. There are very few gainers, but we also have SABMiller up almost 1% at 183 rand and 5 cents. What's been driving SABMiller this morning?
Well, yeah, the good day for SAB. There was a broker upgrade from Cazenove this morning, as well as the FEMSA talks, the merger talks that is happening around the brewers in the world. I mean, FEMSA, Latin American, particularly Mexico, brewer and bottler is looking to merge with either Heineken or SABMiller. Well, those are the front runners at the moment. But the market seeming to back SABMiller. They lost their number one top brewer position, so we anticipate that they will fight a little bit extra hard for it. And, Heineken not necessarily in a good position to take up that deal. But, yeah, they're marking it, liking it a lot. It will increase SABMiller's presence in Latin America. And just good news all around for SAB today.
I mean, do you think this is a good growth marker for SABMiller in Mexico?
Absolutely, they don't have much of a presence there, and it will equip them to compete with them, the Anheuser-Busch's and the Heinekens, and compete with the bigger brewers. And as I said earlier, they have lost their number one position, so they'll probably be fighting to get that back.
Okay, we also had Vodacom up about 1% a little bit earlier. Anything happening with Vodacom?
Yeah, I think it was also just a broker update there from Bank of America, and also, in empathy or sympathy of what's going on in telecommunications, particularly with MTN. I think people just liking the cellular manufacturers. And
okay, well, obviously we'll be looking out for that job starter this evening, but we also have some of the corporates in America starting to report their third quarter earnings next week. Do you think the focus is now going to shift from economic data back onto companies?
Yes, absolutely. I think what we're really looking for next week is to see what the US consumer is doing. Is the US consumer coming back into the market? They do account for 70% of the GDP of the United States. And to see what reaction they're going to bring out in the stocks. To also listen to what the directors are going to be saying as they report these earnings. Where do they see the market going? Where do they see their particular companies going? And how the global change and the global uptick has affected them. And I think we'll all wait with bated breath to see if the global recovery is starting to translate into the company balance sheets and the underlying company numbers.